When people get to the point where they decided they don't like you so much, where they start smearing your name and start running these campaigns of hatred and dislike and start doing these passive aggressive things towards you, that's not a recoverable interaction, right? Hello, and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Jameelah, and I'm a master manifester, and I'm sure you are too because you're watching content like this. The name of this channel, the name of my channel, is Holistic Manifesting, because I believe in a whole body, whole mind, and whole being experience when it comes to manifesting these amazing lives that we're choosing, right? Yes. So today I'm discussing the effects of hanging around in environments where you are not valued or seen. Huge, right? One of the three, so I got a bunch of major effects to that, but the three main ones that I'm going to focus on today, I'll go one by one, but there's three that I want to focus on, right? So when you're in environments where you're not valued or seen, you tend to kind of just fade off into the background. And sometimes that's what we want. And then sometimes it's not what we want. We want to be seen. We want, what we're doing to be acknowledged. And this could be in your home life. This could be work life. This could be friendships. This could be family environments. Wherever you want to apply it to, this can apply, right? When you hang around in these environments where people clearly are not seeing you for what you are, and then they clearly are devaluing you for what you have to offer and who you are as a person, right? Because a lot of times people think, oh, what do you have to offer? It's always something tangible, right? But sometimes, and I think 90% of the time, people should be much more focused on who you are as a person. Like your personhood and the value of that is so much more important than people give value to. Because if you are a conniving kind of person, if you are lackluster, if you're lazy, if you have a negative mindset, all of those things matter when it comes to what you are in an environment, right? What you just bring tangibly is not the only thing that you have to offer that environment, right? And so when you're off in these places, the number one effect that I know from experiencing this firsthand is you become sunken on the inside. And when I say sunken on the inside, there's like an internal energy that you have running all day, every day, right? And it kind of is at a high or a low at any given time in the day. And I always figure when I'm having a good day or a better day, or I'm having a happy day or something like that, that internal level of energy, it raises, it gets a little bit higher. So I'm walking around, I'm feeling really peppy, and I'm feeling really, into it and excited. And somebody asks me to help them with something, I'm available. I'm feeling all my cylinders are firing, right? That's what they say. Firing on all cylinders, right? And so whenever there's one of those moments where I'm in these environments and it's like, I can tell that, first of all, I'm not being liked, I'm not being appreciated, I'm not being valued, all these things. There's a sunken energy that comes every time I interact with those environments, right? So while I want to be peppy and I want to be happy and I want to be excited and I want to have all this joy to share, which normally I still do, at the end of the day, there's a part in me that I'm fighting against, right? Because I'm in this environment and I already know these people don't like me, I don't fit, this doesn't work, blah, blah, blah. And at the same time, I'm still trying my best to bring my best version of myself to the environment, right? But you can't escape that feeling of that sunkenness. The sunkenness also feels like when something negative happens in your life or something that you didn't want to happen, and maybe your chest kind of drops, like your stomach drops or something. It's a non-tangible feeling that creates a very tangible experience inside your body, right? So while it's just feelings in the air, when it hits you, it's like you just get sunken. And I can even see it happen in one of my daughters. She does it, her shoulders go like this when she's in that sunken kind of energy in place, right? Well, you're not being seen, you're not being fully valued, you're not being fully appreciated, right? But you want to get to the place where you're walking around and you can kind of like hold your head up and your back high, but you gotta fight so hard against what's happening in order to get there, right? Something else that I noticed that it does is that it starts to wear on you and your positive, peaceful, or happy mindset, right? It starts to taint your energy and your attitude. And even when you don't want it to, you'll see it pop up in other places and environments, right? So because you are so misunderstood and you're so undervalued and you're so underappreciated one place, You get in your car to go somewhere else, and someone shows a slight bit of reaction that's similar to what you came from. And there you go, giving the wrong feedback in the wrong environment because you're being tainted. This negative energy is settling on the inside of you. So as much as you don't want to give attention to it, and you don't want to show that it's getting the best of you or it's getting inside of you in any kind of way, there's still pieces of that energy that's going to hang on you when you leave. It's just like trying to go swim in a dirty lake and come out clean, right? It's not going to happen. There's always going to be remnants. You're going to have some algae on you. You're going to have a little bit of mud on you, a little bit of dirt. You may even have a tadpole in your pocket. You're going there with some clothes on, right? So because it's a lake, it's a dirty lake, right? And that's pretty much what you're walking into in some of these environments. It's a dirty lake. And you can't go into a place that has biohazard signs all over it, that has toxic signs everywhere you look, and think that you're not going to get some of that toxicity. It's going to get on the inside of you. It's going to get in you to some degree because you're porous. Not only are you porous in your physical, in your body, right? Because that's why they say watch the lotions you put on, watch the products that you use. You're also porous in your energy. It's nice to think that we can put a force field around us and go in environments and places, and sometimes that does work. But when it's long term and it's constant and it's regular and it's happening consistently, there's a certain amount of tainting that's going to happen over time. And then you walk away with this taint on you, and then you're trying to go be a regular person and be who you are in all these other environments. But that feeling, that tainted, that negative aspect of that environment is on you. And you're going to have to do a whole lot of work to get it off, right? So it's just like being physically dirty. If you're just like slightly dirty, you take a 5-minute shower, you fine, you jump out, you're good, you go on with the rest of your life, right? But if you get so dirty, when you get into this lake and you got, the mud is on your feet, you're going in there every single day, right? So then it's time to get in that shower. That shower going to need to be about 20, 15 minutes to make sure you get all the dirt and all the toxicity out of your nooks and crannies, right? So this is what you're doing, walking into these environments, and we're like, yeah, let's meditate, let's do yoga, let's do this, let's do that. But all of that is kind of just going to put you right back at baseline because this place has made you so toxic and dirty. And so it's like you're doing all this extra work just to get to baseline, right? And we always say when situations and places are like that in your life, you have to find a way, an exit strategy, some way to get away from those environments. If it's family, you have to find a way to wean off yourself, whatever you're using, or have to interact with them about you. If it's a workplace, you have to find a way to get more skills, to move yourself out of the environment, to move yourself in a new place. Friendships, you got to take those breaks. Whatever it is, you have to find a way to come up off of those type of toxic environments and then walk away from it, right? Something else that happens, and the third thing, like hanging around in environments long term that are quite negative for you. Over time, I think this is probably the most painful one for me. You really start to not believe in yourself. And it's like you almost start to believe the negative words or the negative ideas of the environments that you're sitting in. You almost start to believe in the negativity, right? Because when you're in those environments and you're consumed with the energy, you're not always getting information from other places that helps you combat that. So you got to be really strong on the inside, right? Because if you're in a place where people are constantly telling you something that's negative about you, and you know it's not negative because you're in other environments and they're saying the opposite, right? But the only reason why a lot of people can make it through those types of environments is because they're really strong on the inside. They infuse themselves regularly with what they need in order to face the world and face these environments, right? So they do it on the front end. They don't try to go make up for it on the back end and, meditate, go for a walk, get all this negative energy off me. They try to not even let it hit them, and they try to hit it up front, right? The only issue with that is sometimes when everything around you is saying, this person is right, this negative thing that they're saying about you is right, this negative attitude they have toward you is correct, this negative thing, and you're just like, man, I know this isn't true. I know it isn't true. You have to stay in that space, in that mode, because I'm a big investigator. If you say something about me, I'm going to first see if it's something that I need to be more accountable for, if it's something that I'm doing that I think it's kind of, okay, well, yeah, you might be right about that. This doesn't work in that environment. It may work over there, but it doesn't work over here. But when I notice that something or someone is saying or doing things that are fully out of their ego because it's so petty and so small, then I can't take them serious anymore. Then I, of course, lose all respect. But that's not even the point. They're still affecting and they're still in an environment. So you have to say constantly to yourself, how can I rise above this and be better than this? How can I give myself more than this, right? But if you don't have that type of thing happening on a regular basis, like on a deep level for yourself, you might actually start believing this, right? And I definitely see this in relationships. And I've seen this with myself. I've been with the wrong people at different times. And they've tried to tell me negative things about myself. And at first, because I'm like, hey, relationship, let's work on it, work. And, it's like, what do? Let me make a little note of that. Pull up my little pen. I do this. Okay, so these are the things that I'm going to work on. I'm definitely going to work on that. I'm going to work on this and all. And then I work on them. And then the person's still like, well, then there's something wrong with you over here with this. And then once I start noticing that goalpost is being moved, I'm like, okay, you ain't got to tell me but once. But you decided to tell me 50 times. But you can tell me one time that you don't like me and you don't want to be bothered. But what I mean is that in those situations, first, there's always good faith effort for you to put some effort toward, hey, maybe I am doing something. Maybe I am saying something. Maybe I am, But when it starts to turn into this regular account, you can go one of two ways. A lot of people, I've done it myself, a lot of people I've seen, they start to actually believe that there are all these negative things that these people, places, and environments are telling them that they are, right? And then they leave these situations after trying so hard to try to maneuver themselves into, I'm going to be right this way, I'm going to be right this way, I'm going to try to be right. And you're trying to constantly maneuver yourself into being a better version to meet whatever standard this place or people or environment or whatever is telling you. Then you realize that you're never going to get there. Because what you realize is that if people don't like you, they ain't never going to like you. Never, ever, 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 ever going to like you. They made a decision not to like you a long time ago. They made a decision when they met you not to like you. They are not going to like you. And I've done this in environments. I've like, oh, maybe if I'm like this, maybe if I like this, maybe if I did this. When people get to the point where they decided they don't like you so much, where they start smearing your name and start running these campaigns of hatred and dislike and start doing these passive aggressive things towards you, that's not a recoverable interaction, right? That's in personal relationships and everything. I've even been in relationships where I've had people, I guess I'm too old to say boyfriend, but dating, and the man is like, nitpicking and doing all these little things, but then it turns into passive aggressiveness, and then it turns into this ugly thing that shows me that you have deep dislike for me. Once I see that you have deep dislike for me, that's even more important than so many other traits that people think are important in relationships. The deep dislike is never going to be fixed. That means there's something inside of you that was triggered by something inside of me that I cannot control or contain or do anything about, and nor should I want to, and nor should you want me to do anything about. And there's no turning back from that. There's nothing I can do to fix that because it's not my problem. Let me say that again. When somebody's doing all that passive aggressive and they have a deep dislike and a deep discomfort and a deep ugliness towards you and a passive aggressiveness, and it's just an undertone of dislike or whatever, there's nothing you can do about it because it's not your problem. You can only fix your own problems. That's their problem. It's their problem. And I know we live in a world where everybody thinks that if I got a problem with you, then somehow it's your responsibility. It's not. I don't even have to look at it. I don't even have to entertain it. I can shut the door on it and never look at it ever again. It's not my problem. But if you came to me in a subtle manner and say, hey, I'm being triggered by this, and you are honest about your own feelings and what you're going through and what's happening with you, then we have something to talk about, right? And so those are my three things when it comes to being in environments where you're completely undervalued, unseen, and unappreciated. The first thing, one of the biggest things that happen is that you find yourself in a sunken place more often than not, because whether you like it or not, it's affecting you and impacting you psychologically, right? The second one is that you think that you're combating these environments, but you've got that negative taint on you. The taint from that space of not being appreciated or valued is sitting inside of you because it's very negative energy, right? And then the third one is that you might actually start believing some of the things that people say. And while you don't fully believe it in a conscious way, subconsciously, you may actually start believing, well, maybe I am like this, maybe I am like that, maybe I am. And what happens is it lowers your confidence, it lowers your self-esteem, and then you give those perpetrators exactly what they're looking for. They wanted you in a sunken, low place so they can control you, so they can get you to do what they need you to do, so they can feel better about themselves because they were able to conquer and control you. And you don't want anybody to walk away with that trophy. I promise you. I promise you, right? There are people to this day that number one goal was to conquer and control me. And to this day, they failed miserably, right? Failed. You will never conquer or control me. That is never a job for another human being, and I will never let it happen. Ever. The worst thing you can do is kill me. Go ahead and do it. Because I'm never going to let you have my mind. I'm never going to let you have my soul. You're never going to have my spirit. It's never going to happen. And when I realized this in environments and places and people that I was interacting with, that you never have to give up your power to anybody, then you never have to worry about feeling like, oh, I feel like I've lost in it. Don't give your power away. Don't do it. People have no control over other people unless other people give other people control. Right? And we know that control is being had with weapons. Control can be had with force and all this kind of stuff. But that's the only way you're going to get it. You're not going to get it because you got my mind. It's never going to happen. And so you need to have the same mindset, because people can't wait to conquer and control and destroy people. They love the idea of that. And the thing about it is, you can run into people all the time who are like, they want to meet people at a certain, especially friend groups. Think about that. And you run into women in friend groups and stuff like that. They can go find friend group females all the time who don't have self-esteem, who don't feel good about themselves, who don't really care about what you want to do and all this kind of stuff. And they just let you run the show. They can go find friendships like that very, very easily, right? But what people enjoy more is taking down what they feel like is competition or a powerful friend or a powerful person and having them underneath their thumb, right? It's kind of like if you're very, very talented and very smart, you get hired at a place and the first thing they do is shut you down. And you're just like, why did they even hire me if they didn't want me to use my greatness that they told me that I had in this interview? They wanted to stifle it. They were insecure about it when it showed up. They wanted it in their space. They wanted to have access to it, but they wanted to also shut it down because it makes them feel insecure and uncomfortable. And you're not here for that. You're not here to be anybody's punching bag. You're not here to be anybody's loser that they can look at and say, hey, my life isn't so bad because look at her. You're not here to do that, right? You get nothing out of that. You get absolutely nothing out of it. So that's what I have today. Don't walk around allowing people to make you think that you are supposed to sit in environments or sit around people in places where you're undervalued and unseen, because you get nothing out of it. They get everything out of it. And at the end of the day, you wind up feeling sunken. You wind up believing that stuff. And then you wind up having low self-esteem and low self-confidence. And then you're exactly what they said that you were, a loser. And you don't want to be that. Anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful day.